everybody, and welcome to Getting Real Estate in Vegas. I am Bridget Magnus, and this is the Vegas Video Network. If you have a question, a problem, or a suggestion for us, be sure to send those by email to gettingreal@vegasvideonetwork.com. If you're more of a telephone sort of person, we do have the toll-free listener hotline at 866-966-4599. And for those of you who are watching us live, be sure to join us on the live chat and get your questions answered just almost instantly. Now, we do have 5 wonderful ways that you could be joining us today, so thank you to those of you who are watching on the Vegas Video Network, those of you who subscribed to your favorite shows, including Pub Crawl on iTunes, those of you who are watching on YouTube, those of you who are watching with Roku, and those who are listening on the radio at KSHP 1400 AM on Friday evenings. So let's get this ball rolling with some Friday figures. And here we are. We have some very exciting figures today. The first one is that the number of available units is down to 10,715. This is the lowest number since June of 2010, back when we were finishing up the home buyer tax credit. So this is an extraordinarily low number, and I'll be interested in seeing what happens going forward. Median price on a single-family home was $140,000. Median price on a condo was $55,000, and for townhomes, median price of $81,000. Now, of our total available, 1,883 of them were foreclosed properties with a median price of $109,000. Just as a reminder, that is 9% off the lows we set last summer. Short sales are 4,855 of the total. Median price on those is $110,000. And we do also have 3,974 classic listings. No short sale, no REO, no banks to deal with, except yours, of course. Median price on those is $185,000. Sold in the last 30 days, 3,455 properties. The median sales price was $108,000, and the median list price $110,000. Still not a big gap between the two. This is not the time for lowballing. Also, 843 properties under contract to be purchased. That is up. It's pretty simple. The number of available units goes down. Those homes are under contract. The homes under contract goes up. Works pretty nicely, doesn't it? We do also, just for your reference, have 5,871 rentals and 2,242 new leases signed in the last 30 days. Median rent is just a hair under $1,100. So let's get on with some news. It's actually a pretty exciting news day, so you'll have to excuse me for having lots of scribbled notes in front of me. This week, the feds have decided, oh, you know, maybe we ought to go ahead and investigate foreclosure fraud before we just sweep it all under the rug with a big settlement. And, yeah, okay, let's let New York Attorney General take care of this the way he wanted to do it in the first place. That was earlier this week. Today, after I published the Friday figures, he handed down subpoenas to 11 big banks to try and get the ball rolling on that. So let's hope that he actually finds something and can prosecute some people as a result. Speaking of the courts and rulings, there was a Nevada court that confirmed rulings this week that, oh, yeah, banks actually have to prove that they have the right to foreclose and have all their documents before they can do it. Imagine that. Banks following the law. Crazy talk. Let's see, properties under contract, even though they are up locally, in December they were down nationwide. Do not panic because they are down from a 19-month high. Well, you know, you can only go up so long before you have to come down just a little bit. And I do have a bit of breaking news that happened today before I got on the air, but after the figures went up. Attorney General Eric Holder, the federal attorney general, not one of the state attorney generals, is going to be investigating mortgage-backed securities. Now, just in case you don't know, what happens when you get a mortgage is that the banks pool up your mortgage and the mortgage of the next guy that they wrote for and a bunch of them. They slice and dice and they sell these things off to investors so that they have money to lend to new people. And apparently there's some very interesting practices involved, some of which may or may not be fraudulent, But now we're actually getting somebody involved in finding out if anything illegal happened. So kudos to the New York Attorney General and the Federal Attorney General for bowing to pressure and actually investigating things that the American people want investigated. Okay, we talk a lot about buying property and we talk a lot about selling property, but we really only kind of give lip service to rental around here. And today I'm going to change that just a little bit. Now, I did talk about the fact that our median rents for things going through the MLS, mostly homes, a few condos, the occasional mobile park, that's still around $1,100. But what about the apartment scene here in Las Vegas? Not everybody wants or needs a whole house, now do they? So I got some interesting news when it comes to that. The median rent for an apartment in Las Vegas is $752. That figure is from about 60 days ago. We're still working on getting current figures. This is the most current I could find. The interesting thing about that is that occupancy rates for our apartment complexes locally are still at about 92.7%. Now, industry standard is you're doing fine if you're over 90. So the apartment complexes are doing pretty well. For those of you who are interested in how things differ across the valley, the highest rents were in the southwest and the lowest were in the northeast, up by the big Air Force base that makes lots of noise. Gee, I can't imagine why people might not be willing to pay big rent near the Air Force base. Go figure. So some exciting things are happening as far as rents go nationwide. And one of the things I'd like to tell you about is a pretty big study that came out, yes, this week, in fact. Basically, the rental market to hit new high levels in 2012. Well, this is also another one of those things that's pretty simple when you think about it. We have so many people who are losing their homes to foreclosure, so many people who can no longer pay for what they've got going on because they've lost jobs. Where are those people going to end up? They're going to end up renting something. And so that is probably why we are looking at rents being up a third year in a row in 2012. Now, one thing that I do feel like I need to point out is that when we rank this according to cities, Las Vegas is 36th out of 44. We're still up substantially from last year as the results of this study as far as what's happening with our rental market. But because the economy has been hurting, our rental numbers are not where some people would like them to be. On the other hand, I'd just like to point out that you may have heard that we were having record low levels of building new houses. Well, we're not building really that many new apartments either. Nationwide, we're talking about 37,000 some odd apartment units. And in the grand scheme of things, let's face it, we're talking about a decent-sized suburb's worth of apartments nationwide. That doesn't seem like much now, does it? One side effect of this is that since we're not building enough apartments and we need people, we have a need for rentals, what does that leave us? Investors! Yes, this would be a great time to go ahead and invest in some rental property. So, can we have some what were they thinking, please? All right, let me give you a little background before I show you this picture. The Telecommunications Act of 1996 says that your homeowners association or condo association can't stop you from putting up an antenna or a satellite dish. But here's the kicker. Your condo community can say, okay, you can have your satellite dish, but you can't go on the roof to put it up. Oh no, your condo faces north. What are you to do? Well, you could just add your dish to the local dish farm. Isn't that cute? I found a collection of satellite dishes as I was touring a condo community with a client, and I thought you'd enjoy that picture. We're going to take a little break for station identification and be back with some homeowner tips.
Traditional media believes that after about 3 minutes, you'll tune out. Most Vegas media companies think if it doesn't jiggle, you won't tune in. At the Vegas Video Network, we think both are wrong. The Vegas Video Network is the first and only live online broadcast network that specializes in insider news and expert views about Vegas. We combine great storytelling with the ability to watch when and where you want on your computer, mobile device, or television. Discover the real Las Vegas. Visit VegasVideoNetwork.com.
All right, welcome back. It is time for Real Advice, and today I have some tips for those of you who are perhaps not planning on moving out real soon, and some tips for those of you who just moved into a place that, well, maybe seemed a little bigger without all your stuff in it. We're going to be talking about remodeling tips to make your home seem bigger. So let's get started. Number 1 tip. See what you can do about multi-use rooms. Say you've got a big formal dining room that only gets used 3 times a year. Well, what if that big dining room were also your home office, or your sewing room, or your video game room, or your music room? It's easy to make things happen with the right furniture or, frankly, with the right accessories. There's nothing stopping you from putting your computer on the dining room table that I know of. No statutes, no city ordinances that say you can't. You can also do this with a guest room. Say you're only going to have guests 3 times a year. Well, how about a bed that folds up or rolls away? And that way you can use the room for something more practical the other 50 weeks of the year that your guests aren't with you. My next suggestion for those of you who need to make extra room is the closet home office. Say you've got a big, long closet in a room. Why not put a desk in there? And that way, when it's not in use, close the doors and it looks like just an ordinary room. Personally, what I have done in the past, it's been a long time since I had to do this kind of student chic thing, is actually hold up the bottom of the desk with a couple of filing cabinets. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Nice piece of wood or countertop, and you're in business. Mount a few shelves over that for storage, and you are good to go. My next tip is to go ahead and move that laundry room. Would that closet that the laundry equipment is in be put to use in a better way? Can you move that laundry equipment out to the garage, or maybe upstairs where it's closer to where you generate and put away your laundry? You're going to want to consult a plumber and an electrician on this one because you are dealing with both water and electricity, but it is something that you can consider and will save you some space. My next floor plan is another one that you're going to have to consult some experts on. Sure, you can remove a door. That's real easy. But sometimes, I repeat, sometimes you can remove a wall or a part of a wall. But you want to consult an expert to make sure that you are not going to accidentally bring the roof down on your head. Do not go cutting out walls without consulting an expert, please. Another thing that I'd like to point out is built-in cabinetry. Say you put shelves along one wall. You've got plenty of storage now. You haven't really eaten into how much space you have in the room, and you've still got a place for all your stuff, and you can put other things into your closet. That seems like a win-win situation to me if I ever saw one. Next up, we have bump it out. Assuming that you are allowed by local codes and your HOA, you can build what's called a bump out. We're talking about adding, say, a space 3 foot wide by, maybe 8 or 10 feet long. In many cases, you have lower costs, lower permitting fees, and if there's already a roof overhang, that's more easily done as well. It is certainly a lot cheaper than a room-sized addition to your home. But do remember to stay in compliance with all the laws and rules that apply to your home. And my last tip really isn't much of a Vegas tip, But if you have an attic or a basement, finish that thing out to be useful living space. There is no point in paying to heat and cool a space that you can't use on a regular basis. So that's the last of my tips for the day. Next week we have something very special. We're going to have some tips inspired by someone who wrote into the show, so I'm really excited about that. In the meantime, I hope you have a terrific weekend. Don't forget, send those questions and suggestions by email to gettingreal@vegasvideonetwork.com. The toll-free hotline is still open. That's 866-966-4599. Anybody who has a personal real estate issue that I can help them with, go ahead, look up my personal contact information at bridgetmagnus.com, where you'll also find the complete version of the Friday figures. And I'll see you next.